In the summer of 1967, two kids went into the woods of Oregon and never came out. The police called it a landslide. The government said the town didn't exist. They were lying. Gravity Falls isn't a place you visit on a map. It's a place that happens to you. And once it starts pulling, there is no down. There is only in. My name is Mark Pines. This is the story of the summer we died. And the reason I'm still hearing my sister's voice in the static of your radio, don't blink, don't look away, because right now the forest is listening. They tell you that time heals all wounds. They're lying. Some wounds aren't on the body, they're on the map. In the sweltering June of 1967, the rest of the world was focused on the moon and the music. But my sister Dina and I were being sent to a corner of Oregon that the sunlight seemed to avoid. Our mother packed our bags in a silence so heavy it felt like she was packing us for a funeral. Our father hadn't come home in months. His side of the bed was a cold, flat desert. The bus ride was a blur of emerald green and claustrophobia. The further we drove, the more the modern world seemed to peel away. The radio died first, replaced by a hum of static that sounded like distant rhythmic whispering. The bus driver didn't speak a single word for 6 hours. When he finally pulled the lever to hiss the doors open, he didn't even look at us. He just pointed a trembling finger at a dirt crossroads. We stepped out, and the bus roared away so fast it left a cloud of red dust that tasted like copper and ozone. There was no station, no sign. Just a crooked wooden post with the words, "Welcome to Gravity Falls," carved so deeply the letters looked wounded. Then the truck appeared. A rusted 1952 pickup that sounded like it was coughing up blood. Our Uncle Stanley climbed out. In the old photos, he was a big man with a booming laugh. The man standing before us was a skeleton. He was gaunt, his skin was sallow, and his eyes, they never stopped moving. "Get in," he said. No hello, no hug, just get in. As we drove into the deep timber, the canopy closed over us like a lid. "Listen to me," Stan said, his voice a dry rasp. "This isn't the city. There are rules here. Rule 1, you don't leave the house after the shadows touch the porch. Rule 2, if you hear someone calling your name from the woods, you didn't hear it, even if it sounds like me, even if it sounds like your mother. You keep walking. Do you understand?" Dina laughed. She thought it was a game. I didn't. I was watching the pines. They weren't swaying with the wind. They were tilting. One by one, they leaned toward the truck as we passed, like giant wooden spectators leaning in to catch a whisper of our heartbeats. Uncle Stan's house was a nightmare of clicking pipes and floorboards that felt like they were breathing. On the 4th night, the heat was unbearable. Dina told me she heard a scratching sound coming from the pantry. Not a mouse. A rhythmic scratching, like someone was writing on the other side of the wall. We pulled back a loose slat of wood in the crawl space and found it, wrapped in oilcloth that felt like sun-dried skin. The journal. It was bound in leather that had cracked into patterns resembling a map. There was no title, no author. Only a gold-fined 6-fingered hand embossed on the cover. The moment Dina touched it, the temperature in the room dropped 20 degrees. The first page read, "If you are reading this, you are already part of it." The words weren't written with ink. They were etched into the paper from the other side. The diagrams showed impossible creatures and something called the gravity event. One sentence was circled in red. "The fall does not pull downward. It pulls inward." I felt sick touching it. Dina felt thrilled. She started staying up all night, her face lit by a single candle. She told me the book was updating itself. She was right. Every morning there were new entries, detailed sketches of the house, a sketch of me clutching a kitchen knife in my sleep. The caption read, "Mark Pines resists." On the opposite page was a drawing of Dina, her eyes solid black. The caption, "Dina Pines listens." The world began to break on the 2nd week. I'd catch myself in the hallway mirror, and for a split second, my reflection would remain perfectly still while I moved. It would just stand there, staring at me with cold pity before snapping back into place. Uncle Stan stopped sleeping. He would wander the halls at 3 a.m. with a shotgun, whispering to himself, "I'm sorry, Ford. I'm trying to hold the door. I'm trying." Dina started talking to the trees. She told me she saw him, the man the journal called the architect. She saw him in the woods, tall, thin, wearing a black top hat. He didn't have a face, just a giant, jagged white smile with too many teeth. He would tip his hat from the shadows and vanish the second I blinked. Dina called him a friend. I knew he was a predator. We finally confronted Stan. He broke down. In 1967, Gravity Falls was an experiment, he confessed. The journal isn't a record. It's a key. Something ancient is beneath this town, and it has learned how to bend reality. Gravity is just the bait to thin the barrier between worlds. He looked at Dina with a terrifying sadness. The book always finds someone new. It prefers the curious, and it's been waiting for a mind like yours. The final ritual was set for the summer solstice. On that morning, the birds stopped singing. Then, the wind stopped blowing. The silence was so heavy it felt like it would burst our eardrums. At noon, the forest began to scream. The ground didn't shake, it warped. The horizon started rising. The world was curving upward like a giant ball. I found Dina in the clearing. She was floating, her hair fanning out around her as if she were underwater. The journal was hovering in front of her, its pages whipping so fast they sounded like a chainsaw. "Dina, grab my hand!" I screamed. She looked at me, but her eyes were gone. In their place were two white sparks. "It's not falling, Mark," she whispered. Her voice echoed in my brain. "It's opening." The smiling man was there. He emerged from the trees, 10 feet tall, watching us. He didn't move. He just started to clap. A slow, loud clap that sounded like thunder. I reached for her, but the air pulled sideways. The last thing I saw was that smile. Then, Gravity Falls fell. Not down, in. The official records say there was a landslide. They say a forest fire wiped out the valley. They say no bodies were recovered. Uncle Stan disappeared shortly after. The town was rebuilt. The maps were corrected. But the old-timers know. They don't go into the deep timber. If you go to Oregon today and you find the place where the maps don't work, stay very still. If you hear a boy screaming for his sister, that's me. I'm still trying to find the road back to 1967. And if you hear a girl laughing, if you hear a voice telling you that the summer never has to end, run. Because Dina didn't disappear. She chose to stay, and she's looking for someone to tell the story to next. Be careful what you're curious about, because some summers never stay buried.